The door opens like a whisper, hesitant, like even the air remembers her. You step inside. The floor still creaks in the same places, though softer now, as if it, too, has aged in silence. Light from the afternoon sun stretches across the wooden planks, but it feels tired, like it no longer knows how to reach the corners she once danced in. On the far wall, the clock remains. 4:17, its hands unmoving, perfectly still. It's been that time for decades now. You wonder if it stopped the moment she left, or if time simply gave up after she stopped filling it. The scent of old paper hovers in the room, not sharp, but soft, like the memory of a letter never sent. You breathe it in like you're trying to remember something without thinking too hard. But memory isn't kind when summoned. It arrives in fragments. The curve of her voice, the corner of her smile, the sound her earrings made when she turned her head too quickly. Your fingers trace the edges of the dusty piano keys, each note an echo, waiting to be touched again. You don't press them, afraid that even the sound has forgotten how she played. There's still a chipped mug near the window, faint lipstick on its rim, as if the moment before she vanished decided to wait forever. You feel the room asking, why now? Why return after all these years? But grief doesn't answer. It doesn't follow clocks or calendars. It sits like this house, quiet and unchanged, until you finally have the courage to come back and sit beside it. Asterisk. The clock ticks once, only once, then silence again. You flinch, but not from fear, from recognition, the kind of recognition that doesn't belong in time, but in your chest, in that place where names still live even after the people are gone. You walk to the clock and lift it gently off the wall. It's lighter than you remember, as if the years have hollowed it out, just like they did to you. You turn it over. The battery is missing, and that makes you laugh. A broken kind of laugh, because it wasn't time that failed her. It was you. You never replaced the battery. You let the minutes die in that room, because keeping them still was the only way to keep her near. Your reflection in the glass is soft, blurred, unsteady. You don't recognize yourself, not entirely, because you left parts of yourself herein. The photo frame turned face down, in the sweater she wore that still clings to the back of the chair, in the notebook with 2 pages torn out, the only ones she ever wrote for you. They're gone now. Those pages, you'd taken them once, hoping to read them someday, but you never did. Some words feel heavier than silence, heavier than forgetting. There's a hum beneath everything, not music, not electricity, just the quiet rhythm of a place untouched. The breath of objects waiting to be noticed again. You sit on the floor, next to the spot where sunlight used to gather around her feet. You close your eyes, and for a moment, you remember what it was like to be needed by someone who looked at you like you were time itself. Not a traveler, not a ghost, just a person. Whole, present, held. But you left, not with intention, but with hesitation. And hesitation, you've learned, is how most love stories end. Not with cruelty, not with anger, but with the things we didn't say when we had the chance to. The air grows colder, as if the room knows the moment is closing, as if even the house wants you to leave before the memory breaks. You set the clock down. You don't fix it. You don't even wind it, because some things aren't broken. They just stopped. And stopping, you realize, is also a kind of devotion. You stand slowly. Dust clings to your palms like the past refusing to let go, but you don't brush it off. Let it stay. Let it remind you. Let it weigh you. On your way out, you glance one last time. The chair is still there. The mug, the piano, the light, the version of her that memory sculpted into silence, and the clock, still paused at 4:17, not waiting, just remembering. You close the door behind you, not with finality, but with the softness of someone who knows they'll return when the silence feels too loud again. And as you step into the fading gold of the hallway, you carry nothing with you, except time that no longer belongs to anyone. The room flickers. Light spills through the window in soft gold stripes, but something about it feels artificial, like a memory rehearsed too many times. You watch her from the doorway. She's sitting exactly where she used to, elbows on the table, chin tucked between her hands, laughing softly at something you didn't hear. It's her. But Elsa not. Her smile stretches across her face like it always did, but there's a slight delay between the joke and the joy, as if the laughter was cued by memory, not moment. A playback. not presence. Your chest tightens. You know that smile. You've chased it through decades of memory, in photographs, in dreams, in the way strangers laugh on train platforms. And now, here it is. But your heart doesn't leap. It hesitates. She hasn't seen you yet, and you're afraid that when she does, her eyes won't hold recognition, just polite confusion. Or worse, a flicker of fear, like seeing a version of someone your soul almost remembered. The scent of warm tea drifts toward you, lavender and honey, just the way she used to like it. But the teacup is unfamiliar, white porcelain, not the chipped blue one you shared. Your memory begins to fumble, like trying to play a record with trembling fingers. Did she ever really laugh that long? Did she ever sit in that exact sunlight? Was her voice always that soft? Or did time, with all its cracks and loops, reshape her into something sweeter than she was, because your grief needed a prettier echo? She glances toward you now. Her eyes meet yours, and she smiles again. But this time, it's not the one you chased. It's polite, shallow, the kind of smile you give to someone who looks lost. And in that moment, you understand she doesn't remember you. Or maybe she does, but not this version of you. Not the one worn thin by time loops, and should have SAIDS. You step forward, unsure. The floor creaks, but the sound feels off, too crisp, like someone trying to mimic old wood. She tilts her head. Her hair falls, just as it used to, but there's no spark of knowing in her eyes. Just patience. Can I help you? She asks, and her voice is nearly right, but not quite. Like a melody replayed one key too high. You open your mouth, but memory clogs your throat. What could you possibly say? I knew you once, before time forgot us. Or worse, I came back 'cause I couldn't live without the version of you I made up. Instead, you just nod, and she turns back to her tea, unaware that your entire world just cracked, gently, like old vinyl. Behind her, a clock ticks. Not broken, not paused, just wrong. It reads 2:09. You know it should be 4:17. That's the only time that ever mattered. You sit down at the far edge of the room. The chair is cold, even in the warm sunlight. You wonder if this place was ever real, or if it's a reconstruction, a memory sketched by AI from the fragments of your longing. You glance around. No photographs, no books she once read. Just the textures of Close Enough. The wallpaper peels slightly near the ceiling, a detail so human, it makes your eyes sting, but you don't know if that's her doing, or the system's way of making it believable. The emotional silence in the room grows heavier, not because no one's speaking, but because of everything you can't say. Not to her, not to yourself. You reach into your coat pocket. Your hand closes around an old cassette tape. The one she recorded her humming on. Back in '85, you brought it here to play for her, to see if her eyes would flicker with memory. But now, you can't, because this isn't her. Not really. It's a moment, trapped in time, looping perfectly, like a record that skips just before the chorus, forever almost becoming something whole. And you are the needle worn down by regret, scratching over the same groove, hoping for a different note. You close your eyes. The chair groans beneath you as you shift your weight. Outside, wind brushes against the window, but it doesn't rattle, not like it used to. You wonder if you've traveled at all. Maybe this is still the present, and you're only dreaming with your eyes open. Maybe time travel isn't about machines or work. Maybe it's just memory. When it becomes too vivid to bear alone, you open your eyes again. She's gone now. Or maybe she was never there, just a presence, stitched by desire, resembling love, but held together by silence. You rise slowly. The room tilts ever so slightly, like an old vinyl warping in heat. You place the tape on the table, next to the lavender tea, and you leave. The drawer slides open with a faint sigh, like something inside had been holding its breath for years. Your fingers brush across forgotten keys, worn-out batteries, and the velvet-lined case. When you lift it, dust blooms into the air, catching the light like memory in motion. It's still here, her old film camera, the one she loved, the one she used to hold, like it held truth, like every photo was proof that something had been. You used to joke that she took pictures so the universe couldn't deny her love. She used to smile and say, "One day, we'll forget how real it felt." So I take the feeling with me, but the camera is heavier than you remember, and colder. as if grief left fingerprints you can't wipe off. You lift it to your face, not to take a photo, but just to feel the shape of something that once framed her laughter. Through the viewfinder, the room warps, edges soften, light becomes liquid, and for a heartbeat, you see her again. Not how she was, but how she could have been if you'd taken the picture that day. The day her hair caught the sun like wildfire. The day she stood in the doorway and said, "Don't forget me like this." You didn't take the photo. You laughed instead. You said, "As if I could ever forget." And then time moved, and then silence arrived, and then forgetting became easier than you ever thought possible. You opened the back of the camera, a roll of film, untouched, sealed in silence, 36 chances you never took, and suddenly you are overcome, not by the loss. You've made peace with absence, but by the fear that even when she stood in front of you, you didn't really see her. The film unravels slowly in your hand. You hold it up to the light, but it remains dark, full of moments that never developed. You wonder what's buried in its quiet, the blurry almost smile she gave you after an argument, the way her fingers curled around a cup on cold mornings, that one afternoon she wore yellow and danced to a song that didn't exist. You wonder, is the memory more alive because you never captured it, or is it slowly dying without proof? You place the film on the table, beside the faded scarf she used to wear, and sit back in the chair by the window. The sunlight is different now, brighter, but it doesn't feel warm. There's a faint hum in the background, an old machine still plugged in, its function long forgotten. It might be a heater, or a memory simulator, or something that once tried to mimic time. But even technology can't restore what you were too afraid to hold in the first place, because that's what it was, wasn't it? Fear. You weren't scared of losing her. You were scared of keeping her in a photograph, in a frame, in something so still that it could never move again. So you let her live only in motion. And now, all you have are freeze frames, your mind invented later, with softer light, warmer tones, cleaner edges, fake perfects. Because the real moments felt too fragile to touch. You close your eyes. The scent of old film lingers faintly metallic, like something in between memory and electricity. You wonder if the role could still be developed, if some lab in some forgotten corner of time could coax the ghosts out. But would you want to see them? Would you want the truth, or the imagined version that's kept you company all these years? Outside, a breeze stirs the curtain. For a moment, the shadow it casts on the wall looks like her profile, the gentle curve of a jaw you haven't kissed in decades. You don't reach for it. You just watch it fade. You pick up the camera once more, hold it carefully, as if it might wake up and remember her for you. There's a dent on the side you'd never noticed before. You trace it with your thumb. It feels recent, but maybe it's always been there. You just never looked close enough. That's the thing about memory. It hides behind what you didn't do more than what you did. You close the drawer slowly. The camera goes back in, not buried, just resting. The film stays out. You leave it unspooled on the table. Let it breathe. Let it remember what you couldn't. And as you rise to leave the room, you whisper an apology, not to her, but to the version of yourself that didn't know how to hold on without holding back. The handwriting in the journal is unmistakable. Round, fluid letters slanted slightly to the right. The way she always wrote when she was trying to seem calm. You run your fingers over the page. The ink hasn't faded, not even a little, as if the words were written just moments ago. But she's been gone for decades. You read the line again. I wish he'd stopped vanishing while standing right in front of me. The ache comes slow, like a ripple, because you don't remember this sentence. You don't remember this page, and yet her voice floods your head, saying it in that tired, amused way she had. Like sorrow was just another inside joke you shared. But something's wrong. It's all too clear, too pristine, like a memory scrubbed clean of all the noise that makes it real. No smudges on the ink, no hesitation in the script. Even the paper smells untouched, not aged, not curled at the corners, not handled by grief. You close the journal. Across the room, her perfume lingers in the air, not faint, strong, present. A perfect replica of how she used to smell before bed, when the lights were off, and all you had to go on was scent and breath, and the soft sound of her turning pages. You inhale, hoping it will pull you back to a night that actually happened, but it doesn't, because this isn't memory, This is reconstruction. You sit down slowly, the leather chair groaning like it remembers more than you do. On the desk is a photo, one you don't recall taking, but your face is in it, next to hers. You look younger. Your smile is easy. She's laughing into your shoulder, and the light touches her hair just right. It's beautiful, too beautiful. You scan your brain, flipping through emotional files, searching for when it happened, but nothing surfaces. Just static, just a vague hum of almost. You pick up the photo. On the back, your handwriting says, August 9th, she made fun of my tie. I fell in love again, except, you've never owned a tie like that. You're certain? The room tilts slightly, not physically, but emotionally, like you've slipped out of your own life and into a curated exhibit of someone you once loved. The scent grows stronger, lavender and cedar. She used to wear it when she wanted to feel more grown up. She was 24 when she said that, and you told her she already was. You press your hands to your face. The skin there is your own, a little rougher than you remember, a little more hollowed. You whisper, did I make you up? But the silence doesn't answer, because silence, you've learned, is just memory, refusing to confirm or deny. You rise and walk toward the mirror, the one that used to hang in your old bedroom. The frame is still chipped in the same place where she once dropped it while moving in. You stare into the glass, but your reflection doesn't settle. It flickers slightly, like an image trying to stabilize, like an AI rendering an old version of your face, based on partial data and wishful thinking. You blink hard, your reflection follows, but it doesn't feel synced. You touch the glass. It's warm, too warm, and in the fog of your breath, her silhouette appears behind you. Just a blur, just a shape, but you want it to be her so badly. You almost say her name, then it fades, and all that's left is your own outline, a person shaped by echoes. You sink to the floor. Your hands shake, not from fear, but from not knowing what part of your life was real and what was just longing edited over time. It's a strange grief, mourning a memory you can't confirm was ever yours. Was her voice always that soft? Did she actually say, "Don't forget me"? Or did your guilt invent that line to give your silence something poetic to hold on to? You don't trust your own archive anymore, because what is memory except a story we edit again and again until it fits the shape of our sorrow? The journal lies open again, as if the room itself turned the page for you. You read another sentence. He kept asking me what he'd forgotten, but I think he already knew. You close your eyes. You did know. You forgot her, not because she faded, but because it was easier than staying intact, because some truths are too sharp to carry whole. So you sand them down until they feel more like nostalgia and less like guilt. You rise, slowly. The mirror is just glass again. Your reflection solid, quiet, older than you expected. The journal stays on the floor. The photo frame turns slightly on its own, or maybe your memory pushed it. Outside, the wind doesn't move the trees. They're still, like props in a scene that doesn't need weather. And you realize, you're not just doubting her, you're doubting you. The bell above the cafe door rings with the same dull chime. You step in. Warm air brushes your face. Roasted beans and vanilla. Just like yesterday. Just like the day before. She's already at the corner table, back to the window. A soft wool scarf draped over her shoulders. Steam curls from the teacup in front of her. You take the same breath. Hold it. Let it go. The light slices across the table exactly as you remember it. Angled, fragile, golden. Outside, a bus size at the curb. Passengers unchanged. Inside, the same instrumental track hums softly. A piano loop. Sweet, unresolved. You sit down. She looks up, smiles, tilts her head slightly. "Hi," she says. "You're late." You flinch, because it's the exact same tone she used yesterday. Same syllables, same pause. You glance at the sugar package she's tearing open. The same one, white and lavender, unopened. Except you watched her open it yesterday, and the day before that. You lean in, voice low. "I think we've done this already." She frowns slightly. Soft, polite confusion. Not fear, not recognition. Just the way a person reacts when the conversation takes a turn they didn't expect. You gesture to the radio. The same melody. "You hear that song?" She nods, stirring her tea. "It's new. I like it." "It's not new," you whisper. It's always playing. It's always this song. She smiles in that gentle way, the one people give when they think you're grieving something quietly, and you are. You're grieving time itself, because you've been here 4 times, maybe 5. And it's always this cafe, this tea, this light. But the worst part, she never remembers. Each time you arrive, you hope this will be the version where her eyes flicker with recognition, where she says, "You're here again. I was waiting," but she never does. She sips her tea, wrinkles her nose too hot. You could mouth her lines at this point. "I had the strangest dream last night," she says. You lean in, heart rising. She continues, "I was standing in a train station, but the train was made of mirrors." Your breath catches. "That's new. That's different," you whisper. "And did you see someone in the reflection?" But she laughs lightly. "No, just me. Over and over. But younger." She shrugs. "Anyway, what did you want to talk about?" And just like that, the thread slips. You realize the loop isn't static. It shifts, just enough to keep hope alive, just enough to keep you trapped, because maybe that's the point. Not to relive, but to re-almost. You try again. "You said something yesterday," you say. She blinks. "Yesterday." You nod, almost begging. "You said, I vanish while standing in front of you." She tilts her head. "I've never said that." You clench your hands. Fingernails bite your palms. Pain. A tether. "But you did," you murmur. "It was in your journal." "I don't have a journal." You look down. Your tea sits untouched, steam rising in the same lazy spiral. You wonder if you've ever drunk it, or if it's always just a prop warmth that never reaches you. The hum of the overhead lights grows louder, not by volume, by attention. You notice them more now. Notice the silence between words, the artificial rhythm. What kind of system is this? Memory, simulation, punishment, or just the last fragment of a mind looping until it forgets how to stop? She laughs again, a different laugh, softer, not the usual one. You stare at her. "This is the 5th time I've lived this day." She holds your gaze, and for a breath, something flickers in her eyes. Recognition, sadness. She says nothing. You lean forward. "Please, tell me you know." She studies your face. The corners of her mouth twitch. Then she says gently, "I think you should rest." You look tired, and the moment collapses. Again, you exhale and sit back. The spoon clinks against her cup. A bus exhales outside. The same child cries on the sidewalk. You can almost predict the footsteps approaching the counter. You whisper, "You forget me every time, don't you?" She doesn't answer. She's looking out the window now, eyes lost in the light. You feel the room blur, not fade, blur, as if reality is being smeared by grief's trembling hand. You leave the cafe, walk 3 blocks, touch the same mailbox, stand beneath the same flickering street lamp, and tomorrow, you'll do it again. The hallway is too clean, not polished, sterile, like someone recreated warmth but forgot the fingerprints. You step in, fluorescent lights hum above you, but there are no shadows, no softness, no time. The door ahead is already open, as if expecting you, and inside, you hear it, a low humming, familiar and thin. It's her tune, that lullaby she used to invent under her breath, the one that never had words, only soft vowels that trembled at the edges. You remember falling asleep to it, back in 1985, or at least, you think you do. But this version, it's wrong, too steady, too precise. You cross the threshold. She's seated at a desk, back to you, shoulders unnaturally still. The light above her doesn't flicker. Her shadow doesn't move. She hums again, and this time, it skips, just slightly. The note repeats, then warps, then corrects itself, like audio run through a glitch filter, like a voice trying to remember its own shape. You whisper her name. She stops, but doesn't turn. Instead, the humming resets, back to the beginning, exactly the same sequence, exactly the same breath. You inch closer, heart drumming like static in your ribs. There's something off about the curve of her neck, too smooth, too intentional, like it was rendered, not lived. "Please," you say softly, "say something." She does, but her voice is wrong, not because it's robotic, but because it's too right, like an AI guessing how love should sound. "Hello," she says, "you're home." 2 seconds later, the same sentence plays again, identical pitch, identical pause. Your breath catches. This isn't time travel, it's memory, recorded and looped by code. You glance around the room. There are no windows, just pale walls, and a digital clock with no hands. Only numbers that blink but never count. Do you remember me? You ask Dot. Her head turns, but only a third of the way, as if movement was partially rendered. I remember, she says, but the voice stutters on the last syllable, replays it. Remember, then silence. You step back. The fear isn't that she's artificial. The fear is that this is all your mind has left of her. Not a living memory, but an algorithm repeating your favorite moment until it decays into noise. Where are we? You whisper. She tilts her head, bird-like. Do you wish to restore a previous state? You feel like falling, but the ground won't let you. It's too flat, too still. You close your eyes. Try to remember the real her, the warmth in her voice when she said your name with a yawn, the way she mispronounced cafe au lait on purpose, just to annoy you. But the details are harder to summon now. The simulation has replaced her outline with something shinier. You speak again. Sing the song, the one you used to hum when you thought I was asleep. She hums, but this time, it's full of glitches, notes that fracture, pauses that stretch too long, syllables that collapse into binary static. And then, the sound cuts. A pause, a hum, then again, from the top, your hands tremble. You walk over and look her in the face. It's hers, almost, but the eyes, they don't blink, not naturally. They blink in time, every 8 seconds, just like the training data said people should. You whisper, are you her? She replies, I am the echo you left behind. You step back. You don't remember programming that, but maybe you didn't need to. Maybe your longing built it for you, piece by piece, tone by tone, until grief became a system and memory became code. The humming resumes, but now you can't listen, because every note is a ghost wearing the mask of comfort. The speaker in the ceiling vibrates, a gentle tone, a prompt. Would you like to reset her voice? You stare at it. You don't answer, because some voices aren't meant to be corrected. They're meant to fade with dignity. You turn away from her. The door doesn't open. There was never a door, only the idea of one. You sit on the floor. The room doesn't shift. It doesn't age. It doesn't breathe. You're trapped in a love letter written by circuitry, and the worst part, you asked for it, because you missed her, because memory failed, because grief made you desperate enough to recreate a voice, instead of letting silence be what it was. You press your palms to your ears, try to muffle the hum, but it bleeds through, always restarting, always beginning again, like she never got the chance to say goodbye. There was a moment when the machine asked you, not in words, but in blinking light and soft digital breath, would you like her to remember? And you hovered, finger above the yes, because part of you ached for her to look at you and know, to blink once, twice, and whisper your name like it still lived inside her. But you didn't press it. You told the machine, no, because remembering you meant remembering everything. The long silences, the missed calls, the version of her you couldn't hold without also hurting. So you let her forget, and now, you return like a shadow cast in reverse, not behind her, but ahead. On the days she walks into, she doesn't see you anymore, not because she can't, because you told the world not to let her. A kindness, that's what you called it. Even now, you whisper it to yourself. A kindness, a mercy, a necessary forgetting. But mercy, you're learning, can be a quiet kind of cruelty. You sit at the edge of the plaza, the place where she feeds birds in the late morning. She's there now, a warm sweater draped over her arms, her hair gathered loosely at the nape of her neck. She laughs when a pigeon startles. The same laugh, unchanged, but it's not yours anymore. It's no longer the laugh you earned. It lives freely now, belonging only to the moment it inhabits. You watch her speak to the man beside her. He's kind, patient. You had the choice to remove him from her memory too. You didn't, because he came after, because he gave her what you only promised. And promises, when left long enough, start to rot. The sun hits her face. She tilts her head into it, like she's grateful. And for a second, one sharp, unbearable second, you want to walk up to her, to say your name aloud, to tell her who you were and what you gave up. But you don't, because that would be theft, and you've already stolen enough time from her. The machine told you, if she remembers you, the pain will return. You asked, what pain? It said, the ache of an almost life, the weight of loving someone who couldn't stay. You understood, even as you denied it. The scent of her favorite flowers drifts from the nearby stall, jasmine and marigold. You remember the day you learned their names, not because she told you, but because she left them pressed in the back of a book you borrowed and never returned. You still have that book. The flowers turn to dust, but the imprint of their shape remains. Like you, she gathers her things, waves goodbye to the man, crosses the plaza. You rise as she passes, not to follow, just to feel the air shift around her presence. She walks right by, no hesitation, no pause. You are a stranger now, perfectly, and yet, somewhere in her spine, you think you see a small shiver, a glitch in posture, like a shadow brushed her name, but didn't say it. You want to believe that means something, but believing has never made it real. Later, you return to the archive, where the machine keeps every version of her smile, each one categorized, indexed, accessible. You sit in front of the screen, ask it to show you the moment she almost remembered. It plays a clip, her eyes narrowing slightly, head tilting, hand reaching for a necklace that isn't there. You'd given it to her years ago. The system logged the moment as residual emotional echo, memory not fully deleted, fragment harmless, system stable. You close the file, you open the next one, then the next. You begin to memorize her from the outside in, frame by frame, but it doesn't bring her closer. It doesn't fill the hollow, because what you're watching is her peace without you. And that's the price you chose. The lights dim in the archive room, not because of time, because the system recognizes your stillness as surrender. Would you like to restore her memory? The prompt appears again, no blinking, just there, waiting. You stare at it. Your finger hovers again and again. You don't press it, because what would you say to her if she knew? What do you call love that chose erasure over remembrance? You sit there in the silence you created. She lives. You watch. The loop remains open, but untouched. Outside, a breeze moves the trees. Inside, the screen goes dark. Your reflection stares back, half light, half regret. The paper is soft with age, not brittle, but weary, like it's been waiting for you to stop pretending you had nothing left to say. You found it tucked in the back of a drawer you never opened. The same drawer that held the watch she gave you, the one that never kept time, but always kept memory. You smooth the creases, set the pen down beside it. Wait, there's no rush. Letters, after all, are just pauses in the silence. You stare at the blank page, not because you don't know what to write, but because the words you want to use don't belong in this world anymore. They're hers, or they were, before forgetting made them meaningless. You begin slowly. Dear you, not her name. That would feel too intimate, too final, and you're not sure you deserve to say it again. Your hand trembles slightly as you write, not from grief, from reverence. Each sentence is an offering to the version of her that existed before all of this fractured. I saw you again today. You write. You were feeding birds and laughing like I never hurt you. It was beautiful. It was unbearable. Ink bleeds slightly into the fibers. The pen is old. Or maybe time doesn't like being recorded anymore. You keep going. There's so much I didn't say when I had the chance. Not because I didn't feel it, but because I didn't know how to be loud without breaking something. The room is quiet, not library-quiet. Grief-quiet. The kind where even your thoughts whisper. You write about her laugh, the one that rose in layers, like light climbing a staircase. You write about the time she traced constellations on your shoulder and named them after people she never got to meet. You write about the day you left, not physically, but emotionally. The moment your presence began to flicker even while your body stayed near. You always knew, you admit, even when I pretended to be whole. Halfway through the letter, your pen runs out. You switch to pencil. The words feel less permanent now. Maybe that's better. Maybe truth should be erasable. You fold the letter into thirds, then into a square, then again, until it resembles one of the paper cranes she used to leave on your pillow. You remember how she said each fold carried a wish. You wonder what this one carries. You don't sign it, just press it flat with your hand, like sealing a wound. You walk outside. The air is thick with memory, late summer warmth, mixed with the sharp ache of endings. The mailbox is still there, faded red, handle rusted. It looks like it remembers you, even if she doesn't. You slip the letter in, pause. You imagine her opening it, reading each line with that half smile she gave when she knew you were trying. Her fingers pausing over the sentence, I loved you so quietly, I forgot how to speak it aloud. You imagine her crying, or laughing, or putting it in a drawer beside all the other things that never made sense. But that's the problem, isn't it? You're not sending it to her. You're sending it into time, into the space between what happened and what you hoped would. You pull the letter out, stand with it in your hand. The wind picks up, soft, kind. You let go. The paper lifts, dances a moment, then falls gently to the sidewalk. You don't pick it up. You just watch it rest there, like a bird that forgot how to fly, but still remembers the shape of air. Because the truth is, some words aren't meant to reach anyone. They're meant to leave you. You sit on the bench across from the mailbox. A boy rides past on a bicycle with streamers. The sound makes you flinch, not because it's loud, but because it's real, and you've lived too long in places that weren't you. Close your eyes. Try to remember what her voice sounded like the last time she said your name, but all you hear is paper, folding dot soft, final dot. Later that night, you return for the letter. It's gone, blown away, or picked up dot, or absorbed by the world that knew you couldn't let it go, unless it helped you let go of yourself. Back in your room, the drawer creaks open. Inside, only the watch. It still doesn't work, but for the first time, you don't mind. Some things don't need to keep time, they just need to witness it. The door opens before you knock. She stands there with her head tilted, brows slightly raised, like she knows someone was coming, just not you. Your name hovers on your tongue, but you swallow it, because you're not sure who you are anymore. Not to her. She steps back and gestures you in with quiet kindness. No hesitation, just the kind of grace reserved for strangers who feel familiar but aren't. You walk inside. It's the same house, but changed. There are new curtains, new chairs, photos that don't include you, a clock that works. You follow her to the kitchen, where the smell of cinnamon and honey hangs in the air, as if peace has lived here long enough to bake. She offers tea. You nod. Your hands tremble slightly when you take the cup, not from heat, from the memory of this same moment, lived in another version of time where she smiled just a little softer and said your name like it held a secret. Now, she asks gently, so, how do we know each other? You blink, because you weren't ready for that, because you thought something would remain, a shimmer in the air, a residual ache in her chest, a flicker of recognition behind her eyes. But there's nothing, just politeness. Just distance, dressed up as hospitality. I knew someone, you say. It's not a lie, it's just incomplete. She smiles kindly. It happens. Faces blur across time. You stare at your tea. The surface reflects back a version of you that feels thinner than memory, thinner than guilt. I used to be someone else, you say quietly, someone who knew you. She tilts her head, intrigued but not attached, waiting but not reaching. You scan the shelves. A photo frame catches your eye. She's in it, laughing, sunlight behind her, and next to her, a man your shape but not you. The chin is softer, the shoulders gentler, the smile more certain. You don't remember being like that, but maybe once, before the loops, before the silence, before you chose forgetting over presence. Maybe then, you were him. He looks familiar, you say. She glances over, nodding. He was someone I loved. Was dot. Past tense, not painful, just folded. You feel the split then, not between timelines, between selves. You are the same person, but not the same you. He stayed. You wandered. He grew with her. You tried to outgrow your grief by stepping backward. You look around. Everything in this house says she moved on. Even the stillness is peaceful, not frozen. And that's when you realize you weren't the one meant to return. He was. The version of you that didn't leave, the one who learned how to hold love without fearing it would disappear. But he's gone, or maybe he never existed. Maybe he's just the version of you she deserved, not the one she got. She speaks again, gently. You look like him, but heavier somehow, not older, just sadder. You nod, eyes stinging. I came back to say something. She waits. You open your mouth, but the words don't come, because how do you say? I've lived 100 versions of this day, and none of them healed me. How do you say, I erased myself from your memory because I thought I was protecting you? How do you say, I wasn't strong enough to love you without needing to be remembered? So instead, you say, you look happy. She smiles, warm, honest. I am you not again. Stand, leave the tea untouched, because this isn't your life anymore. It never was. You were a chapter she closed long before. You learned how to read between the lines. At the door, she places a hand on your arm. I hope you find what you're looking for. You meet her, eyes one last time. There's no recognition there, but there's grace, and maybe that's better, because love isn't always about being remembered. Sometimes, it's about becoming forgettable so the person you love can live without ghosts. You step outside. The light is different now, not colder, not warmer, just honest. You walk away from the house. Don't look back, not because you're strong, but because turning around won't bring you closer to the version of her you kept trying to reach. She's gone, he's gone, you're all that's left. And maybe that's the point. The loop starts gently. It always does. A familiar sky, the same dusk folding itself over the town like a soft blanket. A faint breeze, her silhouette in the doorway, leaning, waiting, almost remembering. She doesn't know it yet, but you've already said goodbye. You walk up the path slowly. Each step feels rehearsed, because it is. You've done this so many times that even your hesitation knows its place. She smiles. Not the first time kind, not the last time kind, the kind that belongs in the middle of something you were never meant to finish. I wasn't sure you'd come, she says, and your heart does that. Same small ache, the one that feels like a skipped beat and a memory, all at once. I always come, you want to say, but you don't, because the truth would only confuse her, and she deserves clarity, not timelines. The air smells like firewood and oranges, some version of autumn, some approximation of warmth. You sit beside her on the porch steps. Her hand brushes yours, soft, accidental, the kind of touch that asks, can I still reach you? You don't move, because part of you hopes this time is different, that the loop is broken, that maybe, just maybe, the goodbye won't come, but it always does. Later, in the kitchen, she hums a tune. You freeze, because it's the same one from the simulation, the same notes, but this time, they wobble, human, breathless, alive. You almost cry at the imperfection. She doesn't notice. She's dancing with a dish towel, laughing at nothing in particular, like people do when they're safe, and you wonder, did I ever give her that? The clock on the wall reads 7:48. It always reads 7:48, before it happens, before the shift, before the unravel, before the goodbye begins. You look at her, trying to memorize the way her fingers curl around a coffee mug, the way her socks don't match, the way she says your name like it's both invitation and forgiveness. You want to stay? You want to break the loop, but the rules aren't written in your favor. They never were. You've tried staying past the glitch before, but the world bends when you do. Time flickers. Lights hum too loudly. Her voice lags. She starts to ask questions, the kind you don't know how to answer without breaking her. So this time, you leave earlier. You wait until she turns to fetch more sugar. You slip your hand into your coat, pull out the folded note. You've written it 100 times. Never the same words. Always the same feeling. You leave it on the counter. Just beneath the chipped mug she always forgets to throw away. The door clicks shut behind you. The air outside feels gentler than it should, as if it knows you're leaving something behind that once tried to live in your bones. You walk down the same path. No birds, no footsteps but your own. The horizon holds a dull glow. Not sunrise, not sunset, just the edge of memory, where time dissolves. As you reach the end of the street, the loop begins to close. The streetlights blink. One flickers out. You don't look back, because you've done that before, and every time. She stands in the window, half faded, half aware, and every time, she doesn't say your name, just touches the glass, like she feels the air shift but doesn't know why. You told yourself once that you'd find the right timeline, the one where you stayed, the one where she remembered, the one where you both said goodbye, the way people are supposed to, out loud, facing each other, with words that tremble and mean everything. But you've accepted now that this is the only ending you're allowed. The soft one, the quiet one, the kind that leaves no bruise. The tape is already winding back. You feel it in the tilt of the sky, in the way your body lightens, in the way her name starts to fade from your tongue. And yet, there's no resentment, only sorrow shaped like grace. You left the note this time. Maybe she'll read it, maybe she won't, maybe she'll toss it, thinking it's a receipt or a list she didn't write. Maybe she unfolded slowly, feel her pulse shift, and wonder why her eyes blur at the corners. It doesn't matter. You didn't write it to be read. You wrote it because goodbye needs somewhere to live. And this time, you gave it a home. You stand in the hallway of her life, just outside the edges of memory, watching her move through the soft, golden morning, as if you were never part of it. And maybe, by now, you weren't. She hums as she waters the plants, smiles faintly at something the radio says, tucks her hair behind one ear, in that same clumsy way, the way you used to tease her for, but there's no echo of you in the way she moves. No pause, no ache. You're not missing from her. You're just not. She doesn't look over her shoulder, doesn't reach for a mug that used to be yours. She's rewritten her mornings, perfectly, completely, and still, you ache, not because she forgot, but because she healed. You were the wound that closed, and now, you're just the whisper the scar doesn't speak of. You step back from the doorway, the floor doesn't creak, your breath doesn't fog the glass. You're not really here anymore, not in the way that matters. You walk past the mirror in the hallway, pause, look, your reflection is barely visible, faded, like something time tried to erase but didn't press hard enough. You raise your hand, your mirrored self lags a second behind, like even time itself can't quite keep up with the version of you that refused to stay still. In the kitchen, she opens the drawer, finds the note you left, the last one. She stares at it, doesn't open it, just places it on the counter, as if she senses it belongs to someone else's life. And you wonder, was there ever a version where she read it, where she held it to her chest, whispered your name, and cried? Or was that just your own hope, looped so many times it became a belief? She wipes down the table, feeds the cat, laughs on a phone call. Your name is not mentioned, your absence is not mourned, and that's the softest tragedy. You didn't leave a silence. You left a space that didn't even need to be filled, because long before she forgot you, you had already become someone unholdable, a traveler, a ghost, a name without presence. You step outside. The sky feels heavier now, or maybe lighter. You can't tell. Time folds behind you. No ripples, no alarms, just the quiet acknowledgement of a chapter closing that no one but you ever read. You walk without destination, only distance, only forward. Somewhere, a clock chimes, not the broken one, not the looped one, a new clock, one that doesn't know your story. You think of her smile, the one that used to lift at the corner just before she caught herself from crying. You think of the way she said your name when she was half asleep and didn't know what year it was. You think of the way she looked at you the first time and the last time, and the time you wish had existed in between. All of it lives inside you, but not in her. Not anymore. You were the ghost in her memory, faint, blurry, more feeling than fact. A warmth with no name, a photo never taken, a story never retold. And maybe that's enough, because not every love becomes legacy. Some just become echo. You reach the edge of time, where the loop ends, and something resembling real life begins again. You don't go back. You've tried. You've rewritten the script, paused it, glitched it, begged it, and still, she never remembered you the way you remembered her. But now, you remember her as she is, not the version that held on, but the one that let go and smiled anyway. And somehow, that's the most honest goodbye. Some love stories don't end with loss. They end with letting someone forget you beautifully. Please subscribe if this story left a small echo in your heart, because some stories are meant to be whispered again, just before sleep.